Time now for my daily interview series, Money Talks. And today we're joined by Chris Phillips. He's founder and managing director of the International Protect and Prepare Security Office, otherwise known as IPSO. Now only too fresh in our minds is the tragic 2017 Manchester Arena terrorist attack, which killed 22 and injured more than 70. The majority of whom were, of course, young teenagers. It was a horrific event which exposed weaknesses in our security systems, risk assessments, and our capacity to deal with terror attacks. And so IPSO and UD Sentinel teamed up to develop a new counter-terrorism app, which aims to save lives and reduce repeats of past failures. Now, Chris was formerly head of the UK National Counter-Terrorism Security Office, and before that, he spent 30 years in the police. So he knows his stuff. And here he is in the studio now. Chris Phillips, my latest guest on Money Talks. Chris, great to have you with us in the studio.
Nice to see you.
I'm feeling safer already in your presence. Tell us about this app. What made you develop it? Obviously, you could see the need, but it's not every ex-policeman who gets into high tech.
No, so my world was protecting businesses against terrorism. Of course, we have had a series of terrorist attacks. And what we find each time is there's a degree of complacency in the workplace as to this will never happen to us. So the idea of the app was to help businesses understand what they could do and how they could actually help their staff understand what to do in the event of a terrorist attack.
So how does it actually work? Is it for everybody? Do we have to pay for it? Can we download it from the App Store if we've got a smartphone? Can we get it on our computers?
Yeah, no, it's all completely free, and that's the key part of this, I think. And it's not just for the UK, it's worldwide, actually. Right. You can use it anywhere across the world. It just gives you sensible advice on, if this thing happens, what do I need to do in the first 5 minutes? It's available at the moment on the App Store, and it will be available on all the other formats in due course. But the idea of this is to just give people the idea of what they can do in those first few minutes.
But this is a business that you're doing, right? Tell us what is the business model here? How does it make money in order to ensure that the service you're providing is sustainable and is with us for a while?
Well, I come from a policing background. I'm not used to trying to make money. Yeah. I've worked with UD Sentinel. They're a great app company. They are actually doing crisis works as well. So you can go on if you want to go into the gold stage of this and actually have some communication methods within organisations. But listen, the law's changing and it's going through the Home Office at the moment. Small businesses, medium businesses and events and all others are going to have to do some work around protecting their business from counter-terrorism, from terrorist attacks. And what this does is give them a bit of a leg up, an early start into what they should be doing. Really interesting.
So it's like an entry-level service that can have everybody. It helps build the brand of the security company that you mentioned. That's an interesting model. So where do you think we are at the moment? I often talk to people in the intelligence services and the security services and so on, as journalists do, and we hear a lot less, obviously, about the terrorist attacks that they managed to thwart from their good work and expertise behind the scenes. And, of course, we see. But to what extent do you think the terrorist threat is still with us here in the UK? What would you say to people, without wishing to alarm them on a Friday lunchtime, that just makes sure we don't become too complacent?
And this is the key. The word is complacency. Listen, the police, security services are stopping offences on a regular, consistent basis. But what we do know is one of those at some stage is going to get through. And it is it's a difficult thing to say, listen, that terrorism in this country is real. It is real right across the West. But without scaring the horses, we don't want people to actually not do what they want to do. But if we can train our staff to do the right thing when something happens, then we've got a much better likelihood of actually saving lives.
How important is, this is obviously a business as well, this whole sector, anti-terrorism and intelligence and corporate safety and security. This is big bucks and a very necessary service. Where does the UK stand internationally in these kind of services, in this sort of sub-industry, if you like? Obviously, we've got a massively respected military. You know, our police force is a standard bearer for other police forces around the world. It's often used as a model. Obviously, our intelligence agencies are world-class too. Does that mean that when it comes to the commercial aspect of these kind of activities, that we're a world leader as well?
Yeah, very much so, and along certain avenues. So, as an example, hostile vehicle mitigation, measures to stop vehicles from crashing into people. We've got companies in this country who are second to none, really, really good. Likewise, right across the field of security. But what we have to do as well is to make sure the SMEs in particular aren't complacent. So, you know, we're talking about pubs, hotels, shopping centres, those kind of businesses. Need to remember that there is still a very real threat of terrorism. It's substantial. That means a terrorist attack could happen at any time, and it will happen. And the best thing that they can do is go through the what-ifs, understand what they should do in the event of something bad happening, and make sure their staff understand how they can do that. And this app gives them that opportunity to do that. And what it does as well, actually, is it lets them test their knowledge, because we know if you go through a training regime, you'll remember on that day, you'll remember a little bit the next day, but actually, as time goes on, you forget.
Isn't it? Yeah. Chris, a lot of, you know, what people think of as security in their minds is, frankly, people like you, physically capable people who are very alert, who are very savvy. But it's not just about people, is it? It's also about warding off cyber attacks. A lot of what you're thinking about now, a lot of the threats to us, even the terrorist threats, if you like, are cyber, aren't they? How's the industry changing to deal with that threat? Because with all respect to your former colleagues, a lot of people feel that the police are really behind the curve. The criminals, the cyber criminals, are ahead of not just our security services, but also, you know, the boys and girls in blue, if you like.
Well, very much so, and they'll never catch up, to be quite honest. The police will catch the top guys, but you have to understand, within the world of cyber and other crimes these days, it's a worldwide issue. So you'll have someone in Albania taking money from the people in the UK through Bangladesh. So it's a worldwide issue. And the other thing I'd say is, to think of security, you have to think of three things, really. The physical bits of security that we've got, you know, the barriers and the bollards and the things. But then you've also got to have the cyber security. But on top of that, you also need to have personnel security, which means your people aren't a threat to you. And I think if you can get all those three things together, working together, then you've got a good, you know, you've got a good security product. But the key thing here as well is crisis response and management, and making sure the pub owners, the restaurant owners, know what to do if something bad happens, and making sure that their staff, the front-facing staff, know what to do. And that's why this app, I think, is quite useful, because it will allow them to, OK, what do I do if I find a suspicious bag? Push a button and I've got the answers in front of me.
Really interesting. Chris Phillips, you're Managing Director of IPSO, IPPSO. Is that the name of the app as well?
No, the app is actually through UDO Sentinel, and it's called the Protect Duty app. The Protect Duty is the legislation that's likely to be coming in soon, but I recommend, if just go down and have a look at it and see if it suits you.
Chris Phillips, great to hear from you. Thanks for being my latest guest.
You're very welcome.
On Money Talks.